kind of girl you wanna marry, the kind of girl you walk the whole earth for. Put her on your back and just carry her attitude.
Hey, it's your girl Cash. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today's video will be a story time. So before you watch this story time, you should probably go watch the Black Trucks and Bad Decision story time, because it's like, it's kind of connected but it's kind of not. It's the same characters. So boom. Now, I know a lot of y'all was in the comments like, why would you ever hang around Thrifty? Like, you should have took it as a red flag when your homegirl kept apologizing for her. But y'all, I'm already knowing. Hindsight is 20/20. I knew better, and this is what happens when you hang around people you don't have no business hanging around. So, as y'all know, it was a sad girl summer, so I was a little bit depressed. So I really didn't celebrate my birthday as hard as I usually do. So Selena was like, hey boo, happy belated birthday. And she was like, you know, I noticed that you really didn't do much on your birthday. Like, do you have anything planned for this weekend? And I was like, no, I don't have anything planned for this weekend. I might just take myself out to dinner just to, you know, say that I did something for like my birthday month. So she was like, matter of fact, don't worry about it. This weekend, if you're free, my homeboy wanted to take his yacht out, and he was just like, he wanted us to just bring a whole bunch of pretty girls. We go on a boat, and then afterwards he was gonna take us to the club, everything on him. And she was like, you know, we could take the yacht out whatever time you want, because he has his own boat. He just likes to, you know, kind of get on the boat after work, because he gets off around like 1 o'clock. So I'm like, all right, bet, I'm down. So she was basically telling me that this time she was going to invite some more of her friends that I didn't know. But one of the friends that she was going to be inviting was somebody that I did know. So y'all already know Thrifty came along because she was attached to Selena like a damn purse. But this time, Selena also invited Lyndon. So Lyndon and Selena had been friends since like high school. And I will always see Selena like posting her hair business and stuff like that. So I went to her maybe 2 or 3 times to get my hair braided. She's a good braider. She just takes forever. But yeah. So this weekend it was going to be me, Thrifty, Selena, Lyndon, and then it was going to be 2 other girls that I didn't know yet. We're going to call them Oreo and Cream. And then also Thrifty's best friend was coming. So we ended up making a decision that we were going to get on a boat by 2 o'clock. So we were getting on the boat down south, but all the girls lived in in Palm Beach. So we were all going to meet up at my house probably around like 12-ish, 12:30, so we could all ride together down to Miami. And we were just gonna, you know, we were gonna wear our bathing suits down there, and then we were gonna take us a little bag, change, shower, and then head to the club. So fast forward to the day of, you know, everybody already supposed to have their stuff together. So Selena and Lyndon end up knocking on my door, and they get here probably around like 12-ish. So Lyndon came early because Selena was supposed to be doing, not Selena, sorry, Thrifty was supposed to be doing her like a little side swoop ponytail or whatever. And I was kind of wondering how this was gonna work, but then once I seen her real hair, no shade, Lyndon didn't have a lot of hair, so I was like, okay, this is probably gonna take us like an hour and 30 max to do her hair. But the thing is, I was kind of wondering where Thrifty was at, because if you're promising to do people's hair, you probably need to be here first, especially because Thrifty takes the longest out of anybody to get ready. So I seen Selena keep walking out on the balcony and like going downstairs talking on the phone, and basically she was calling Thrifty because it was getting to be by that time where we were supposed to be getting ready to leave. So when she's calling Thrifty, Thrifty's like, oh, you know, I went with my best friend and we got our nails done and we got food, you know, we're gonna be on our way to your to Kashs' house in a second. But here was the thing though, it was just like, you know, you knew what time we had to be gone, and now you're going to get your nails done and stuff like that. Like, come on now. Because like I had told y'all in previous story times, Thrifty will make you hours late, and that's exactly what she did this time. So before Thrifty and her friend even gets here, I think Oreo makes it here. So Oreo was a friend of Selena's. I had never met Oreo before, but once Oreo came in and I was like talking to her, getting to know her, she was just like such a vibe, and I just loved her energy. Like, she was one of those really pretty girls, and she just wanted to have fun, and I like her. She's just so sweet. So me and her, we start pre-gaming together. We're taking shots and we're rolling up and stuff like that. So before you know it, all of us kind of like, you know, pre-gaming together. We listen to music, we turking and stuff. So at this point, y'all, it already got to be like, it's already 1:30, and Thrifty is still nowhere to be seen. So eventually Thrifty and her best friend get here, and they knock on the door, and Thrifty, like, as soon as she gets in, you can kind of see like her vibe is kind of off. Usually, you know, Thrifty will come in and be super, like, you know, in everybody's face, trying to be super social, kind of like, no offense, but she likes to be the center of attention. But this time she was just kind of being weird. So her best friend kind of like stood off to the side. Her best friend, I understood that maybe she was a little bit shy and it was her first time coming here, so her best friend was like off to the side, and she had spoke to me and she was like, hey, you know, I wanted to curl my hair and I was wondering what would be the best place to do that, because everybody was already in the bathroom and then somebody was already sitting at the vanity like fixing their makeup. So I ended up taking one of the mirrors in the living room and I had took her one of the curling irons and I was letting her do her hair, and me and her talked for a second and she was pretty cool, but I kind of noticed like Thrifty was just like making sure her and her best friend were always isolated. Like even when she was done doing her hair and she came in the room, like her and Thrifty had kind of took this camera and they were off to the side taking pictures, and it was just given like she really didn't want anybody to talk to like her or her friend, and it was like she was just kind of trying to like make it seem like, oh, I'm too good for y'all, I don't want to talk to y'all. Like I don't even think she had introduced herself to Oreo. So once we're finally all ready and dressed to go, it's probably like 3 o'clock. So mind y'all, we wouldn't be making it down south to like 4. So Selena and Thrifty are calling the boy, and at this point he's not answering because I guess earlier in the day he was calling Thrifty and Thrifty wasn't answering. So at this point he was like, oh well, I'm getting my get back, we going out on the water without y'all. So by maybe like 4 o'clock, it starts to set in like, damn y'all, he left us, because we really weren't paying too much attention because we were having so much fun pre-gaming that it took for Selena to say, damn, like we've been calling him for an hour and he still hasn't responded, and some of my messages aren't delivering, and usually when they're out on the water like that, the messages will stop delivering. So once we peeped that old boy driving a boat without us, we're kind of like, damn, what else could we do as an alternative? And we were considering going to the beach, but it was like, you know, it's already kind of late. The sun done went down. Like, we're not going to even be able to see if we go out on the beach right now. So we're all like kind of trying to find a club, and we're like, you know, we all still got our club clothes, so we can just get dressed and finish pre-gaming and kill time and maybe go get some food till one of the clubs open up. Because at this point, it's still early in the night. So it was too early to go to a club anyway. We're thinking, and then Thrifty's best friend is like, oh, you know, the club that I work at, they kind of, this is like the dress code, like what we have on is perfect, because they always have like phone party, and it's like a Caribbean club, so it will always be like that islander type vibe. So she was like, you know, everybody already comes in their bathing suit anyway, just in case the phone machine come on. So we're like, all right, bet, that's where we're gonna go. So she was like, yeah, admission is only like $20, and I know somebody who's gonna be able to, like, you know, help us skip the line. So at this point, we all knew that we were gonna have to skip them. Like, we all knew that we needed to pay to get in the club. Keep that in mind. So once it's time to start getting ready to kind of like head down to the car and, you know, get ready to head out, Lyndon is the driver. So I think I already introduced y'all to Lyndon. So when we're getting down there, I peeped that Thrifty and her best friend, they're like walking behind us on the stairs, but they're not going to a different car. They're coming to Lyndon's car. Mind you, Lyndon kind of already had the seating chart mapped out. So Linda had been talking about her car when we were upstairs, because she only like had $6,000 left to pay down on her car, and she was really proud of herself for paying it down, and she was just telling us how much she loves her car. And I was like, oh, you know, that's good for you, we're proud of you. So she wanted to be the driver. So at this point, it's already me in the passenger seat, Selena, Oreo, who else? It was me, Selena, Oreo, and then we were going to pick up Cream. So it was already like, you know, 4 people in the back seat, and she just got like a little 4-door Honda. Like, this is not no big Mack truck, nothing like that. So Thrifty walks up to the car and she's like, oh, you know, me and my best friend got a ride with y'all, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think her boyfriend was driving the car, or whatever happened to her car, she let somebody drop them off instead of, you know, keeping her car so she could drive down south with us, because we already had the car filled to capacity and nobody wanted to lap up. That's exactly why we thought it was perfect that, you know, if Thrifty was coming, she was going to come with her best friend. So, you know, once she says that, Selena's kind of like giving her the evil eye, because I guess Selena had already told her, like, make sure y'all have y'all own transportation. But, you know, Lyndon was like, you know, it's fine, they can ride with us, whatever, it's cool. So they get in the car, and it ends up being Selena, Thrifty sitting on top of, well, Thrifty and her best friend sitting on top of her, and then it's Oreo. So while we're driving, we end up going to the liquor store to grab us like this big old jug of Tito's. Mind y'all, Tito's is super cheap, so that jug probably had to be like $20. So everybody's putting their money, and I'm starting to peep that every time, like, it's time for everybody to send in the Cash App, because we had went to the smoke shop too and had got some wrap for the night because everybody smoked. Every time it was time to put in on something, everybody was putting in except for Thrifty, and I already peeped what type of night this is gonna be, because Thrifty will always do this. Like, she would be the main one saying, oh, can we go to the smoke shop? Oh, can we go here? Oh, we need to smoke. But she would never have any money to put in. But I was like, you know what, this is my night. Like, I kind of ain't gotta worry about anything. I had already gave Lyndon my cash, so we had no issues, and that's why I took out cash specifically, so anytime it was time to pay for something, I can go ahead and place it in your hand. So when we get back in the car, we're like playing music, and at this point Linda is getting ready to go pick up Oreo spray and cream. So while we're on the way over there, like we're all jamming, we're listening to music and stuff like that, and Oreo was like she was like a rapper, not a little rapper, sorry, but she's a rapper. So Oreo was like, oh y'all, can I hop on the aux real quick? And we were like, yeah, go ahead, do your thing. So when she was playing her music, you know, she actually makes good music. So we all vibing to her music, we're dancing, we're turning up, and you know, we're like complimenting her because she really does make good music. And you know, it's good to support other women and let them know, like, but you know, people from your hometown are rooting for you. Everybody is not a crab in a bucket. So we're listening to her music, everybody's vibing, and I kind of like look in the like rearview mirror, and I kind of see Thrifty like making faces to her best friend, but her best friend isn't making faces back. So eventually Thrifty is like, wait a minute, like let me get on the aux, I want to play something. So once she says that, everybody in the car kind of like side eyes her, because when we were listening to music earlier, you weren't trying to get on the aux, but now that Oreo's playing her music, you keep on asking for the aux. Mind you, Thrifty doesn't make music, so when she would ask for the aux, she would probably get on there and just play some Boss Man D-Lo. It's like she would be playing anything local. So it was like, you're being a little bit messy, because why are you doing that? So we're driving. We end up making it to Oreo's best friend's house, and Cream gets in the car and she speaks to everybody, and we speak back. So once she gets in the car, Thrifty kind of asks for the aux again, and she pauses the music, and she's like, oh, Linda, can you go pick up can you go pick up one of my friends? And Linda was like, you know, where do you think your friend is gonna fit? Like, we're already full to capacity. Mind y'all, like, I wouldn't like to play on the aisle with us lapped up like that, because I feel like, just me personally, I know that I wouldn't want nobody lapped up in my car like that, because I don't be playing with the law out here. The state troopers be on BS. So when Linda was like, you know, I kind of don't know, I feel like Linda should have put her foot down and was like, no, there's not going to be any lapping up in my car, like it's too many of us already. So Linda's kind of like, oh, you know, I don't know. So Selena's just like, girl, no, like we're not going to pick anybody else up, like it's already too many extra heads in the car. And Selena's like, well, no, not Selena, sorry. Thrifty's like, well, since we picking up everybody else's friend, I don't understand why we can't pick up mine. And Selena just stared at her because, girl, isn't one of your friends on your lap right now? Do you not feel her? You already got another +1, and you're a +1. You're not even a driver, and that used to be the problem with Thrifty. She was always trying to intrude on somebody else's plan, never had no money, and never had no wheels. End up making it down south, and we make it to the club, and Thrifty's best friend, whoever her plug is in the club, he ends up pulling us out the line, and he puts us like in the fast lane. So while we're in the fast lane, I had cash on me, and I think that Selena had cash on her too. So we were the only two with cash on us. So I believe Selena had already paid for, like, I think Linden, and she had paid for Oreo, and I said that I paid for Cream because the club was only accepting cash that night, and all of them had card. So Thrifty's best friend was getting in for free regardless, because, you know, she worked there. But when it's time to pay, Thrifty starts looking around, and she kind of taps Selena, and she's like, oh, well, can you pay for me to get in, because I don't have any cash on me. So Selena's like, you know, I don't have any, like, you know, I don't have no problem paying for you or whatever, but how do you know this wasn't my last 20 in cash? Like, when they told us at the house that we needed to have cash on us, like, you know, you should have got your cash together. Because at this point, I feel like Selena was talking to Thrifty like this because Thrifty was always doing this. Like, Thrifty would be the main one trying to initiate us to go somewhere, and then when it's time to get there and pay, she never has any money to put in. So once we get in the club, at first it's cool vibes, it's empty in there, you know, we just rolling up smoking and things like that. But as time progresses, like, you know, they start playing music or whatever, and mind you, everybody that's with us is Haitian except for me and Selena. So, you know, me and Selena are kind of vibing to the music, but it's just like, you know, there's but so much, because you know the like popular Haitian songs, but if you don't know all of them, you're kind of out the loop. So everybody's dancing, having a good time and stuff like that. And I don't know if they let the high school out late this day, or they were just coming from a high school football game. Maybe at like 11:30, 12 o'clock, it just was like a swarm of high school boys just pushed through there. And they were so freaking aggressive. Like, they were like picking you up off the floor, trying to dance with you, and they were just like, it was a lot going on. And then there were some drunk girls, they had came over there next to us, and they were standing with us, and at first it was cute, they was cool, they was taking shots, and it's like, okay, this is fun. But it started getting to the point where the girls were like drunk to the point where they couldn't stand up, and they were like having the chi-chis out, and it's like, I'm sitting over here trying to play mom and covering them up, but she's like, no girl, like, I want to have fun. And in my head I'm like, oh my god, like, I think I'm too old to be here, because mind you, like, I'm not nothing but 23, but I'm just like, when I started seeing I'm just like, I feel like I'm too old to be here. Like, it was just too much going on. So eventually I started like looking at Selena, and Selena's getting aggravated because at this point she's standing in somebody's section, because with the boys, the way they're pushing and stuff like that, we're all getting pushed and we're like stubbing our toe on the ledge that you have to step up onto to get in the section. So me and Selena end up going to the bathroom together, and she's just like, you know, I'm sorry if you're not having a good time. I wish we would have just went out with my homeboys in Miami, because we would have had a much better time. Like, you know, I know that you probably don't even understand half the music. And I was like, no, it's okay. Like, you know, let's just make the best of it. You know, life goes on. So after that, they started playing some more music, and we just kind of danced for the rest of the night, and we just made the best of it till it's time to go home. So after the club, everybody started like kind of basically going their separate ways and going off with their boos and stuff like that. But I think the only person's boo that had came already was Thrifty's best friend, and at this point we were waiting on Selena's boo because he also lived down south. So while we're waiting on their boos, we're kind of like parking lot pimping, we're playing music, we're dancing, making videos, stuff like that. So while we're dancing and everything, Thrifty always wanted to be like the center of attention and stuff. So Thrifty kind of starts, like, she tries to hand me her phone, and I'm like thinking I'm just gonna take a video of her twerking. Thrifty starts climbing up on like the hood of Lyndon's car. So she's climbing up on the hood. I just see Lyndon. I'm like not even recording her, because I'm turning to see what Lyndon at, because I'm like, oh my god, they finna fight. Because I'm not gonna lie, y'all, if that was my car and I was that close to paying it off, because my car is wrecked, and right now if I see somebody climbing on my hood, it would be a problem. So I'm thinking Linda is finna turn around and like snatch Thrifty out of her car. So she turns around and she's like, like, no, like, like, and Thrifty's like, I just wanted to make a video. And she's like, no, like, get off my car. Mind you, at this point, while Lyndon is talking to Thrifty, Thrifty is still climbing on the hood of Lyndon's car, and Lyndon's like just sitting over there, and I'm like, Lyndon, bitch, say something about your car. So I'm like, Thrifty, get off that girl's car. And Thrifty's just like, oh my god, like, y'all are no fun. So she ends up climbing off her car, and Lyndon is just sitting over there like she's in shock. And in my head, I'm like, bitch, like, speak up. This is your car. Like, you done paid whatever amount you have to pay on this car. It's only $6,000 left. If she dent your car, she's not gonna be able to fix it. Like, step down about your car. So eventually Selena's boyfriend ends up pulling up, and he like turns around in the parking lot, and they let down the windows just so Selena can wave goodbye to us. So when they're stopped, Selena's like talking us out the window like, oh, I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow, like, let's go get brunch or do whatever, well, you know, just chopping it up. So all you hear is Thrifty like, AFN. And you know, I'm using an abbreviation because I don't want to be on here cursing too much, but she's like, AFN, AFN. And all of us are turning around looking at her, because in Florida, that is not a term of endearment. Like, you don't just call anybody that. Like, if you call a man that, that's like the ultimate sign of disrespect, and you're saying it to him because you want a conflict. So I'm looking around trying to figure out who she's talking to, because I'm like, girl, please don't be trying to start no beef with no man out here, because I know it's a lot of us, but we can't jump no man. But she was talking to Selena's boyfriend. So Selena's looking at her crazy, and she ends up saying the boy's name to get his attention, and then she says it again. So he's like, what? And she's like, yeah, make sure you keep her safe, FN. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And he ends up pulling off. So we're all looking at her, and I'm just like, why would you call this girl boyfriend an FN? I'm just like, I don't know what it was about her, but sometimes she used to just do the most. So after we leave the club and everybody's boyfriend comes and picks them up, it's me, Oreo, Cream, and Thrifty, and we're all headed back down south. Well, we're all headed back up north to Palm Beach. So while we're driving, we end up stopping at Wawa so we can get us some subs and stuff like that. So while we're like going in Wawa, I go ahead and I put in my food order, then I come stand outside because it was already like 5 people ahead of me, so I knew my food wasn't going to be ready anytime soon. So when I come outside, Cream ends up coming up to me, and she's like, hey boo, would you mind going in there to buy me a vape really quick? I just don't have my ID. So I'm like, it didn't click to me at this point that she's supposed to have her ID, because girl, we just left the club, but y'all know we've been sipping Tito's all night. So I'm just like, okay girl, like, no problem, I got you. So when I go in there and get her the vape, y'all know I don't buy vapes, baby. I'm a Mary Jane type of girl. So when I go in there to get the vape, I don't really know what's going on. So I come back out and I'm like, girl, they don't really sell the type of vape you're looking for. Like, did you want a Juul or something? And she's like, yeah, get me a Juul. Now, I don't smoke Juuls, but I know from even looking at the package, you gotta buy the cartridge and the refill separately. And I'm telling her this, and she's just like, no, like, you just gotta buy the cartridge, like, it comes with one. And I'm just like, girl, I don't know nothing about Juuls, but I know what it says on the carton, like, you know, whatever. So I go up there and I buy it for the girl, whatever. Come back outside and she rips it open. She's trying to smoke. Now, mind you, like, this whole night she's been talking about a vape, a Juul, a vape, a Juul, a vape, a Juul, to the point where Oreo looked like she was so embarrassed. So when she understands that it really is just the cartridge and it's not the refill, she starts freaking out and she's like, can you go back in there and return this and then buy the refill? And I'm like, baby, you need both parts if you want to smoke it. You can't have one without the other. And she's just not listening. She's just like, well, I'm just going to go in there and try to talk to them. I'm like, okay, girl, do what you got to do. And I gave her a receipt and I told her to go back in there. Y'all, this whole time, I'm not thinking nothing of it. So I go in there to buy, I'm going there to pick up my sub because I hear them calling my number. So once I go in there, she's at the front desk talking to people. Y'all, this girl was nothing but like 17. And I heard her say that to the cashier. I said, huh? Mind you, the cashier looking at me like, bitch, you out here buying this type of stuff for teenagers? Mind y'all, no cap. I'm thinking that this girl is at least 21 because she stacked up like me, tattoos, piercings, all that, like piercings. So I'm like 17. So when she said she's 17, I said, you're 17? And she was like, yeah. So I was like, nah, boo, we not even finna kick it like that. So I take the thing from her and I go back up to the register and I return it. Thank God they actually let me get a return. And I gave her cash back. And she was like, what happened? And I was like, yeah, boo, like I didn't know you were that young because I was so scared when she said she was 17, like I instantly sobered up because if I found out that somebody bought my 17-year-old that type of stuff, oh, I would be trying to press charges. So for the rest of the night, y'all, I don't know if it's because I was like kind of crossfaded, I was super paranoid, but I was trying to stay far, far, far away from her. So I'm still standing outside of Wawa just trying to eat my sub and calm down because I'm thinking the police gonna come arrest me. And I'm waiting on the rest of the girls to come get their food. So while I'm out there, Thrifty ends up walking up to me and she's like, hey, can I ask you something for like a really big favor? It's a little bit embarrassing. And I'm like, yeah, what's up? She was like, would you mind if I spend a night at your house tonight? I don't really have anywhere to go. Like, you know how I be, like, when you're younger, you have strict parents. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I understand how that is, no problem. But I just in the back of my, I didn't want to ask her because I didn't want to like be rude because I understand how that is, like when you have to put your pride to the side and ask somebody, could you stay with them? But in the back of my head, I'm just trying to understand, like, why would you wait till the end of the night to ask me if you could spend a night with me? Because if I would have said no, where would you have gone? Because Linda was already spending the night with me because, she has strict Haitian parents as well. So she wasn't going to be able to walk in the house around 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. And she couldn't spend the night with her boyfriend because while we were on the way to the party, she doesn't usually party like that. And she has already told us, like, how her boyfriend is not the most supportive. But we'll get to that. So when we were on our way to the party, he had called her and was like, hey, where you at? And she was like, oh, I'm on my way to the club. And he just hung up in her face and he stopped answering the phone for the rest of the night. So my house was just kind of like the last option, which I didn't mind because, I'd rather you be here than just sitting in your car for the rest of the night. Everybody gets to my house that night. Later on, they take a shower. I give Thrifty some clothes and we all go to sleep. So the next morning I wake up. Linda's already gone because she had to be to work at like 6 a.m. We didn't end up getting up to like 8 or 9. So once I get up and I start showering, brushing my teeth and stuff like that, I clean up the house and Thrifty finally wakes up and Thrifty's like, oh, what do you have planned for today? And it just seemed like she didn't brush her teeth. She wasn't thinking about showering. She was just wondering where I was going to go today. Like she wanted to be up under me. And I had already kind of started catching red flags from Thrifty because for one, every time she would come over, randomly a lot of my lip glosses and makeup would pop up missing. But then two, I always peeped that she would try to latch herself on to anybody that she could benefit from. But when it was time to make some money, she was never down to do it. Because I think I told y'all, Thrifty did hair. So Thrifty would always be like, kind of not paying people back on things that she owed them and stuff like that. So I'm like, obviously you kind of just, you need some income right now. And I remember her always sending me her posts and was like, oh, could you repost this on your story, please, support my hair business. So one of my nieces needed their hair done. So I ended up texting Thrifty and I'm like, hey girl, you trying to make some money today? She texted me back within 3 minutes like, no, I'm not doing hair right now. Here goes my homegirl's Instagram. Which I wasn't thinking too much of it, but it was like Thrifty would do stuff like that when you try to put her on the money plays, but then the next day she'll be asking you to pay for something or ask you could she borrow $1,000 for the night. And I was like, that's weird, I guess. Fast forward maybe like 3 or 4 days after we had all went out to the club together, we had still been in the group chat with each other. Everything was cool. So Selena ended up texting me randomly one morning and was like, hey boo, would you mind if I came to your house to kick it for a couple hours? And I'm like, yeah girl, no problem, come over, because my dog loves Selena. So I was like, yeah girl, come play with my dog, she misses you. Me and Selena had each other's locations and I was kind of like, checking her location every so often because I was cleaning up the house and I had on my headphones and I wanted to make sure that, I wasn't playing the music over her knocking on the door. So I think maybe after like 30 or 40 minutes, I end up checking Selena's location, and I'm peeping that she's super close to my house. Like, she's off my exit, but she's at the gas station and she's not moving. And she had probably been there for like a solid 15 minutes. The rest of the story time will include mention of DV, and I understand that that could be triggering for you. This may not be the video for you. Thank you for watching this far, and just skip through the rest of this video because it's just gonna get worse. So when I'm calling Selena, she doesn't answer the first time, but she ends up calling me back, and she's like, hey my love, like, you know, I'm at the gas station right now. Like, I'm super close to your house. I just didn't want to come to your house because my boyfriend, he just started tripping out on me. So we're at the gas station and I had to call the police. Well, she just like, she didn't mention the police yet. She said we're at the gas station. And I'm like, what do you mean he started tripping out on you? And she's basically like, you know, girl, like, he was being weird. He had a fit. I don't really want to include all her business, but basically he flashed out, he jumped in her car window, and he followed. Basically he wouldn't get out of the car, so she was like, you know what, you coming to Palm Beach with me? And they were just arguing and fighting the whole way here. So while she was saying all this, I was like, girl, well, you know what, don't worry about it. Like, I'm about to get my homeboy and we about to come where you at, because the gas station that they happened to be parked at was like 3 minutes away from my homeboy house. So I really could just ride past, have him jump in the car, and we was gonna go to the gas station. So she was like, no, don't worry about it. Like, the police is already here. I don't want you to be involved in this at all. Like, I'm gonna call you back when everything is over. It's like 5 minutes later, she texts me and she lets me know she's on the way to my house, and she'll just let me know everything that happened when she gets here. So when she gets here and she comes in the house, y'all, I broke down in tears, because she just looked like she had been just having a very hard, like, she just had to fight her life. So I just started crying, and she was like, you know, no, like, don't cry, it's okay or whatever. And we were just talking, and she was basically telling me, like, you know, basically me and him got into it, and she was just telling me what happened. But what struck me is, like, while I was sitting over there comforting her, she was like, it's sad that, you know, this is how you responded. This is how a real friend responds. I FaceTimed Thrifty and Linda while he was in the car with me doing what he was doing, and basically Thrifty was saying, oh, you know, that could never be me, while this boy is flashing out on me. So I'm like, ain't no way she said that to you. Like, why would she say that? And she's just like, I don't know, like, everything with her is a competition. Like, she just always has to reaffirm that she's better than me. And I was like, well, why she's saying this, what does Linda have to say? Because mind you, with Thrifty, it was weird of Thrifty to do her like that, but at this point, y'all probably only been friends for like 5 or 6 months. With Linda, y'all have been friends since high school. So what did Linda have to say? And did Linda check Thrifty for saying that to you? She's like, well, you know, Linda said the same thing. Like, she was just like, oh, well, couldn't it be me? But the thing is, y'all, I'm gonna be honest, me nor Selena were surprised by Linda saying this, because Linda didn't have a backbone. But what surprised me was the way that Linda didn't have any sympathy for Selena, but she used to always text the group chat crying about how her boyfriend's family would call her out of her name and make her feel insecure about her weight, to the point where Linda hadn't posted any pictures of herself since like maybe 2021. Like, she wouldn't post any updated pictures of herself because she had gained weight, and her boyfriend and his family had broke her self-esteem down so bad to the point where she just didn't want to post herself. The only time she would post like videos of herself or current day pictures was on her close friend story. So I was just like surprised, like, the amount of times that we've had to comfort you and that's how you're gonna do her. Like, it was just beyond me. So, you know, I ended up telling her, like, you know, if you want to stay with me for a little while just to clear your head and stuff like that, like, you know, that's perfectly fine. My door is always open to you. And at first she was hesitant, and she just, like, you know, she would come stay for a day and then she would go, like, be out for a while. But she would kind of, like, spend some time here just to, like, decompress. So she ended up staying with me probably, like, for 3 or 4 days straight. And the next day, Linda ended up texting the group chat and was like, hey, y'all, like, do y'all want to go skating? But I was talking to Selena, and Selena was like, she hasn't even texted me to check on me. She hasn't even called me, but now she's going to text the group chat and ask if we want to go skating. So I think Thrifty had already replied in the group chat and was like, yeah, I want to go skating. So Selena had kind of responded to the group chat and was like, no, I don't want to go skating with no fake ass bitches. Like, you know, don't invite me to nothing else. Like, you know, like, basically she was just telling Linda, like, you're not a real friend. So Linda starts, like, calling Selena back to back, and Selena's not answering. But Selena's really one of those people, she's kind of like a let go and let God. Like, she doesn't like confrontation, she doesn't like to argue. Like, she just likes to block you and be done with the situation, which I can understand, especially like in that instance, because it was super hurtful. But me trying to play peacemaker and knowing how long Selena and Lyndon had known each other, I was like, you know, I don't really want y'all friendship to go out like this. Maybe it was just a misunderstanding. So Linda ends up calling me and she's like, hey girl, like, is Selena around you? So at this point, Selena was in my kitchen and I tried to go to Selena and I was like, you know, do you want to get the phone because this is Linda on the phone? And she's like, nope, I don't want to talk to her. Like, I don't even want to hear the conversation. If you're going to talk to her, I just rather not hear it. So I go out on the balcony and I kind of like, you know, try to talk to Linda just so I can hear her out. Because at this point, I'm the oldest in the group. I'm 23. Linda's like probably 22 or 21. And I was like, you know, let me play big sister. So I was talking to her and I'm like, hey, you know, like what happened? And she was like, girl, basically like I didn't even hear the whole conversation. I basically just caught like the tail end of her conversation and her telling Thrifty what happened between her and old boy, and I was just saying that it could never be me, and she took that offensively. And I was just trying to explain it to her because I'm like, maybe she doesn't understand. But I was like, you know, even if you felt like, oh, well, that couldn't be in me in the moment, I don't understand why she would think that. But I was like, sometimes when your friends call you, especially in those times, like they don't need a I told you so, they don't need a you know. Sometimes people just need support and empathy in that moment. Like whatever you have to tell them, you can probably tell it to them when they've calmed down or when they're actually in the headspace to listen to you. But in the heat of the moment, nobody wants to hear that. So she was like, yeah, but it can never be me though. So at this point, I was still trying to explain it to her, but maybe like 5 minutes into the conversation, it just got to the point where I just hung up the phone too. Because it's like I'm kind of communicating with a brick wall because I'm trying to tell you how you hurt your friend and you're just worried about yourself. And I was like, see, now I'm starting to understand why Selena's not answering the phone for y'all. But I had told Selena from the jump, I could already peep like a little bit of the jealousy within the friend group because Selena's like one of those I love you, you love me, Barney ass girls. Like she just wants to have a big group of friends and she wants to love everybody. But I was like, you have to understand, people are jealous of you. And it's not even just because of your looks. Because she's like, oh, well, you know, I always try to like, you know, encourage them to be more confident in themselves. I just had to explain to her like, baby, girl, no matter how much you encourage them to be themselves, if they want to be you, the message is never going to get across. So I ended up hanging up on her and she was like still texting me, but I just stopped responding because it got to the point where it's like, you know, you can't educate anybody that's dedicated to misunderstanding you. So when she was texting me and Selena that night, she was very apologetic and I didn't understand why she was apologizing to me. But the next day, I'm not sure if her, well, actually, no, I am sure because she started posting videos with Thrifty on her hair page. So the next day, it seemed like once she got around Thrifty, her whole like delivery and all the apologies and stuff like that, it just stopped and she just turned. So Thrifty ends up texting a group chat and it's like, oh, you're calling me a fake, you're calling me fake, you're a hoe, who was with you when you didn't have anything? Like there's been plenty of times I had to spend my last to get you a tire or whatever. So at this point, she's just like, Thrifty's not really arguing with Selena over the situation with the boyfriend. She just seems like she's letting go of everything that she had pent up. Anything in the back of her mind she could think and say to Selena to hurt her, that's what she's doing. So Selena's like seeing this. Selena's like, girl, honestly, I don't care. So I believe Selena ended up blocking her and she just like kept texting. So I just was kind of looking at the messages and I was like, I don't know, that's weird. Because one thing I've learned about being in friendships with women, like if you have a problem with your homegirl, y'all should be able to like, you know, talk about the problem. Because the problem isn't each other, it's the problem. When y'all start doing personal attacks and things like that, it really makes you question the friendship. Because it's like, well, damn, how long you been feeling like this? So when she was doing all that, I kind of muted the chat and I didn't say anything. So eventually Thrifty starts adding me and Oreo to a chat and she's like, oh, you know, I'm just in here to clear my name because, you know, Selena's being a dumb B word, like she's a whore, she's this, she's that. Oh, so sorry. So she was like, Selena's a dumb B word, she's a H, she does this, she's messing around with this and this and that person. She's just saying all types of stuff and Oreo's not saying anything and I'm not saying anything either because it's like, girl, what does this have to do with us? And why are you apologizing to me and Oreo, girls you probably haven't even known for a full 2 months? Rather a friend who's been there for you through a lot of the stuff that you've been through, and you're sitting over here throwing stuff in your face like paying for a tire. But I'm pretty sure she did a lot of stuff for you that she's not talking about because I've seen it. Because there was a few times where Selena had to pay Thrifty's way. So, you know, we're still not responding to it or whatever. So the next day, I already told y'all that I've been knowing Selena since I was like, you know, in high school. So I also knew Selena's little sister. So when Selena was here, Selena's little sister would always FaceTime us and she would kind of like talk to us and Selena would be holding the phone. And, you know, just regular catch-up time. So one day she ends up FaceTiming us and she's like, why is Thrifty and Linda texting, threatening to get me jumped? So she ends up screen sharing the messages. She shows us Linda and Thrifty are like, oh, tell your sister to stop being scary and pick up the phone because we're gonna get you jumped, bitch. I know where you go to school at. I'm gonna have them girls from Miami do X, Y, and Z to you. So at this point, this is just kind of where it got a little bit too weird because Selena's little sister is like 16. She is a minor. She has nothing to do with this. She's not even in the same city as us. So I was so confused because earlier that day I had went through my messages and I seen that Linda was just apologizing to me. She was telling me like, you know, Cash, I really mess with you. Like, I really feel like you're a solid female. Like, we've known each other for a while. I know you probably won't want to be my friend after this whole situation. But meanwhile, she's telling me all this. I start seeing people sending me stuff on Instagram. Why is why is Thrifty screenshotting the messages and basically telling all of Instagram what happened between Selena and her boyfriend? And it's just really given that she was trying to get clout off of her friend's situation. But do you know how much of a sick individual you gotta be to get on the internet and expose your friend's DV situation for attention? Mind you, it was so weird to everybody because not even 48 hours ago, you was just hugged up with Selena telling her how she's the best friend you ever had and you were posting about it. So when I'm seeing that, I ended up telling, like, I had texted Linda back and I was like, look, I don't really have no problem with you. I just thought it was weird how you was doing my homegirl and I didn't like that. But tell Thrifty to stop posting stuff and to stop tagging me because at this point, it's like she's posted things about Selena, but she's trying to incorporate me in it and include my Instagram name because like I told y'all know I have like somewhat of a following on TikTok. So Thrifty had already admitted to Selena, but I didn't notice. She was willing to beef with anybody on social media, and she will always try to start social media beef with people because she felt like it would get her social media back up and running. But like I told Thrifty, I'm not one of them content creators that I'm going to beef with you like that. Like, yeah, might do a little back and forth on TikTok, but if me and you are in the same state, especially like in South Florida, I'm not doing all that rapping. I be done came and found you. So she's doing all this and I texted Thrifty and I'm like, Thrifty, why are you posting me? Like, I don't have nothing to do with this. Like, what is this about? And she's like, oh, I'm just trying to clear my name because I feel like Selena's telling y'all half the story and she got y'all looking at me weird, so on and so forth. And I'm trying to explain to Thrifty, why are you so focused on clearing your name with me? And she's basically telling me like, no, I still want us to be able to continue to have a friendship. Now, mind y'all, I'm gonna be honest, if my homegirl was wrong, I would have told Selena that she was wrong. But for you to be nasty to my friend while she's going through something like that, and then for you to post it on social media for attention, there would never be anything for me and you to talk about. And I'm not picking your side over my friend that I've known for years. Like, that's crazy. So she's basically just like, oh, I'm just trying to clear my name because, you know, she's over there lying and you're not texting back and so on and so forth. So I end up having to mute Thrifty because she's texting like 30 times in a row, 40 times in a row. She's just not even really explaining herself. She's just sitting over there talking down on Selena. And it's not going to be too much more of you talking down on my homegirl. So I put her on mute and I just stopped responding. So the next day, I'm going to sleep because, mind you, y'all know I used to work the graveyard shift. So at this point, I had to be at work by 11 o'clock. It's probably 6. Maybe 6:30, my phone just started dinging, 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 back to back to back to back to back messages. All you see in the messages is, tell your broke a homegirl, relay this message, woo, 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 woo. When we see her, we gonna do X, Y, Z. We're gonna do all of this. Basically, it's just Thrifty and Linda just going off talking about what they're gonna do to Selena and how if they can't catch Selena, they're gonna do X, Y, and Z. And it's just like, this is crazy. So